Wake up from your daydreams and welcome to PlayStation VR Life. This is Schleiss, and here with me is Danthol. This is our second episode on October 15th, right? Is that right?
October 15th? No, today is the 16th, man. 1/6.
I have no idea when it is. This week has been crazy. How have you been doing?
I've been doing okay. Just dealing with both reality and virtual reality. Dealing with reality is much more difficult. You know, it's November in America, and we've had some things going on lately. If you haven't been paying attention to the news, we're not here to talk about that, though. We're going to talk about the virtual reality world, which is much more fun.
Did I say it was October? I have no idea what I'm talking about.
You did say it was October. Right, no, it is November 16th.
I wish it was October. I wish it was October right now. Oh my gosh. So today we're going to be going over our Pro Life segment where we talk about the PlayStation 4 Pro and how it enhances the PlayStation VR. And we have some critics of the Flat Games media transitioning over into the VR space and how they're handling that. We also have new game impressions from both of us. So is there anything you want to start off with today?
At the end of the last episode I was talking about, I had just gotten the PlayStation 4 Pro. I found a Target that had it in stock, picked it up, brought it home, and then recorded the episode. Immediately after the show, I recorded a unboxing video, which is very unflattering. I'm very self-conscious about the way that looks, so we're not going to be releasing the unboxing video. There's tons of unboxing. I'll find a better unboxing video and put that on there. Either way, set up my PlayStation Pro, hooked up the PSVR to it, and been playing some awesome games on it. Eagle Flight and Trackmania Turbo VR experience. We'll talk about those this episode. I'm totally looking forward to that. And all of the other stuff coming out. And then, I don't know. Beyond that, nothing else. How's your week been? You say you've just been like crazy on the Reddit forums, whether they be the political ones or the PlayStation VR ones.
Yeah, I've had a hard time trying to get onto the PlayStation VR subreddit because I care about reality a lot more than some people do, apparently. And so it's just been a hard week for me, really hard week for me.
Yeah, my difficulty is just accepting it as being reality. You know, now that I have an alternative, I can just, assume that the real world's an alternative reality too. Either way. So much of that kind of stuff going on. Virtual reality, augmented reality with Pokemon Go. I'm still playing that. That's fun.
Really? Still? Oh my gosh. Every time I see somebody playing that, it's an older person.
Yeah, well, I'm in that category. I'm 41, so I guess that is the older person category. What else are you going to be doing with your phone? You know, you go into a restaurant, you're eating your meal and waiting. If they got a Pokestop, you got to spin it. You got to throw a lure on there and see if you can catch yourself some Pidgeys and some Eakins and whatever for no good reason.
Yeah, I'll probably pick that game up again when the Watch app comes out.
Nice.
So, yeah. You got the PlayStation 4 Pro. I still don't have mine yet. Probably going to get it in the coming months here. But so Riggs is one of the biggest games that people are noting that it's been enhanced with the PS4 Pro. Have you tried that game extensively at all?
You know, that's the one thing that I haven't done yet. When I got the Pro, I got Eagle Flight, and I really wanted to play that. And I got the Trackmania Turbo VR, which... The Trackmania Turbo VR, I think, is the most promising game to come out for the PSVR yet, because it's totally a game that was not intended to be a virtual reality game to start off with, but they threw a patch on there, and it's a free patch on the game. There's 40 tracks. They're all super short tracks, but, I mean, it is a great game that translated into virtual reality without being designed from the ground up for it. And then I tried Battlezone with it, and the Battlezone was definitely enhanced. Played some World War Toons on it, which actually worked better. But the Riggs was the one thing that I just haven't soaked the time into afterwards.
Wow, we'll have to get your impressions on that, because I know you played it with your regular standard PS4,
yes.
And we'll have to see a comparison on that. Just a couple of things
Sure.
here. People are angry with the flat games media, and they're not really transitioning over into VR media reviews that well. User Chris's Venom 2 from Reddit says, giving Riggs a 7.5 is unjust, just because the reviewer had motion sickness after every match, unquote. Maybe you shouldn't put a person like that to review the game. And I agree with him. I think that if you're going to have somebody like that review it, you're also going to have somebody who can stand the game, because they're not going to release a game that gets every single person in the populace sick. So I just think that you should maybe mix the reviews and have like a collaboration review if you have some people who are getting sick on it. But I'm pretty sick about this subject also. And it's going to be hurting the market more than ever if reviewers keep doing this. What are your thoughts on that?
I read the forums there, and I see a lot of people with any given game talking about the motion sickness that comes with it. There are some games that don't do it a whole ton. If you play like Tethered or games that you are at more of a fixed point, you don't have those problems. But it seems like when somebody sees a game like Eagle Flight coming out, they instantly say, it's a vomit fest. That they can last 5 minutes and then they're in the fetal position on the ground, and it is definitely worrisome. I know people who can't play first person shooters on a flat screen. That makes them motion sick, and there's no amount of continuing to play those games that builds up any kind of tolerance. I got one buddy, he can play Battlefield. Because it's the Star Wars Battlefield, because it's a third-person game. But if you give him a first-person shooter, he can't do it. He loves games like Uncharted, once again third-person, but if you give him Halo, it's a barf fest. So it seems like there's just going to always be that crowd of people who get sick that playing these things, and there's going to be the people like me who start off getting sick and then build up a tolerance, and then people like you who just have a tolerance from day one. But it does seem to where the current gaming review media, they're focusing on, hey, we're going to review Final Fantasy 15, Battlefield 1, Call of Duty, and Riggs, and consider Riggs to be in the same kind of category as that. It isn't. I might think a 7.5 is actually fair if we're talking about, just Riggs as being a game. But for a VR experience, it's definitely the best thing there is. So that's it seems like it would be on a curve. If the game was a flat game, 7.5 would be fair. But on a curve of VR, it's more of a 9.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the games media needs to wake up if they want this VR thing to take off. They need to review games as VR games instead of flat games. There's another user on Reddit here who he has some inspiring words. His name is user RDS Words.
Okay.
I wish devs would stop limiting the possibilities of VR games by making broad assumptions about player tolerance. I haven't had any problems tolerating games so far. It sounds like the dev is saying that players would not tolerate playing the whole game in VR, which is completely the opposite of what players are clamoring for, which is to have full 100% length games available in VR. Now, this is the same boat I'm in. I want full games in VR, not like Gran Turismo Sport, which said it was going to have the full game in VR, and they're coming out saying it's only partly playable because people wouldn't be able to tolerate it. That was their quote on that. I think that's a lie. I think that they could have made the whole game in VR, but they just didn't have the manpower to do it.
Yeah. That's one thing I was researching for the show when we were talking about the launch titles that are coming along with this. Is I wanted to revisit the launch titles that came along with the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. The PlayStation 3 launch titles for the United States: Call of Duty 3, Genji Days of the Blade, NFL Madden NFL, NBA 07, NBA 2K7, NHL 2K7, a couple racing games. But like their biggest launch title for like a full type of game would be like Resistance Fall of Man. Maybe Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk would be that too. But it seemed like launch titles for the PlayStation 3 were kind of weak, and people are talking about, the time, it's from the launch of the PSVR until the time we get AAA titles. If you look at the PlayStation 3, there's likely to be that kind of gap. You're going to have these titles here like Batman and Rush of Blood and others, and then it's going to be like a year, I think, before we start to see those AAA titles. But the Trackmania Turbo VR totally gives me hope that it's an Ubisoft game. If Ubisoft can patch and throw something like that in there, there's no reason they couldn't do that with other games. I think that's...
Do you know what engine they use to do that?
I don't.
Game?
I don't.
You don't? Oh, okay.
I'd have to take a look. But
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what they come up with. But I don't see why, like, Fallout 4, Skyrim, and Grand Theft Auto 5 are all reported to have official VR patches for, like, the Oculus Rift and the Vive. So I don't see why those wouldn't also come to the consoles. And, it would make sense. We'll see. I fingers crossed, but they totally need to step up the games right now, especially with, the first couple rounds of new releases. What are the new releases this week are Space Rift, Time Machine, and the Martian Experience.
So that Martian Experience, do not buy it. Don't buy that. That should be free. That experience is shovelware, utter garbage.
Yeah, I could see them doing like a $3.99 for that. Equivalent of renting the movie The Martian if you were going to be renting it. But the $20 for that, everybody seems to say that it's an absolute crap fest. Somebody was saying like the best part of the game, that was a game part of the game, was like putting potatoes into buckets. And then he had one scene where the potatoes kept on falling and not landing in the buckets. And then he had to restart it, and he had to watch like the whole like 10-minute part of the video in the beginning to finally get to the part to where you're putting potatoes in buckets again. It's like, that just sounds like such utter crap. And some of I've watched some YouTube videos, and it makes no sense that that's a $20 experience. It should totally be like at least a $5 or a free promotional thing or something. But Time Machine isn't getting the warmest reviews. People who are playing it are okay with it, but I watched a dude for like 10 minutes like go around underwater, and it's like, hey, this dinosaur has bite marks on it. Go float up and scan the bite marks. Hey, you now know 67% what there is to know about this animal from scanning bite marks. And then it goes to like some heads-up display of a British woman telling you to go scan some other dinosaurs or something.
So the cool thing about Time Machine and games like it is that they also have been released for the Oculus and other headsets.
Yes.
So you could actually just go on to Steam reviews and read reviews about those games already, which is really helpful.
I think
on deciding.
I did, and I did that for Space Rift, and I bought Space Rift based on some of the reviews I read on Steam, and I really think that there may be the opposite of the problem you're talking about before with flat game reviewers reviewing VR games. I think with VR games, I think a lot of these people are being apologetic for them and excusing all of the problems that games will have just to say, hey, it's a VR game, and cheerleading just for anything that's out there. And Space Rift, I really think is going to be... I've played very little of it, but I'm not impressed at all.
Well, with the reviews on Steam, you also have to notice the price it is on Steam, because it's going to be cheaper on Steam, and they're reviewing it with the price in mind. So you have to compare the prices that they're being reviewed against.
Yeah, I guess.
Did you notice that?
Is it that much dramatically different? I mean, it's only $15
yeah.
on the PlayStation Network, which... After buying it and playing a little bit of it, I got angry with myself because, like, for another $5, I could have got something like the Batman Experience, which is supposed to be pretty decent. But I'm like, I'm balking to buy Batman because it's $19, but I'll buy some crap.
So, did you check your email?
No.
Okay, check your email. You probably have $15 from Sony right now.
Maybe.
If you bought $100 worth of games on the PlayStation Store within the PSVR launch.
That I didn't. I got close, but I didn't.
You got all discs, didn't you?
I did, and I'm still standing by. I think buying the discs is smart. I'm looking on eBay, and I can sell pretty much every game I own right now for like $5 under what I paid for it. You know, just almost, you know, cost. And, you know, just I have to pay the shipping fee. So I think it's still a better option. I don't know. I wish you would buy some of those. Then we would be able to like send them across in the mail. We can just send each other games and only have to buy it once.
Yeah. It's just I can't get over having to take off my head because I switch games like maybe like 15 times within a day. Yeah. And go back and forth. Like I don't want to take out the disc. It's just I'm paying for the premium of being able to just click a file and load up the game. I really enjoy that, especially in VR. I already did that before with the flat games, but with the VR games, it's just really emphasized the prowess of digital-only content.
Right. But I'm getting all my stuff cheaper, too.
Yeah.
The discs are cheaper.
You're paying for a premium, of course, when you're buying the digital stuff.
The thing that I think I really wanted to talk about, and this is the conversation I'm starting with people when I'm talking about the PSVR, is like the sales of it. And from the numbers we're seeing out there, it seems to be doing really well. Like a solid launch in Japan, it's doing well here. I'm seeing a couple of them on shelves. But they're projecting that by the end of the year, there's going to be 2.6 million sales of the PSVR, which is like completely eclipsing the Vive and the Oculus Rift. Like they're saying, they're projecting 355,000 sales of the Oculus or. Am I getting my numbers wrong? 355,000 Oculus Rifts and 420,000 of the Vive. It seems like those numbers would be the other way around. I thought the Rifts had sold better than the Vive. The only thing that's comparable would be the GearVR headset, which is like 2.3 million, which is still underneath what they're projecting just for the PSVR. But the GearVR isn't quite the same because it's like, you know, it's an add-on for your phone. People aren't using that as a dedicated VR device.
Yeah, and it's also the ease of use. You could see the in the numbers here, what's projected to sell, what's selling is based on ease of use, what the customer could just buy and plug in and set up, which the PlayStation VR and the Samsung Gear kind of have in common. Right. They're really easy to use.
But it completely, you know, bolsters my hope that the PlayStation is going to be the place for VR games. I mean, how could you ignore that as a developer to have a platform with built-in DRM with an install base of 2.5 million compared to, you know, a PC where you have to sell your games cheaper because they're on a PC and the rate of piracy is way higher. So I don't know. I'm really hopeful that the developers start paying attention and the developers start just patching existing games to bridge the gap, to start to fund, you know, new VR only experiences. And I hope things like Time Machine and Space Rift and all of these other little things that are just VR experiences start to go away. I hope they realize that that's not what the majority of people want. People are wanting games. That's the screaming.
I hope that there's just a separate spot in the. I hope we get enough big enough catalog that there's going to be a different spot in the store for just experiences that you could show, because they're great. They're great for people who aren't into video games. You know,
right.
Those are the things I load up for older people coming in to my apartment and showing them. It, you know, they like it. They like the ocean descent, that kind of stuff.
Right.
So they just need to be priced accordingly. And after this holiday season, hopefully we'll start to see less of them, because they're just trying to push all those out here just so people buy their VRs for Christmas, and then they see, ooh, I want to be I want to be in the movie Martian. I want to go through a time machine. You know, they're trying to get that market right there, the new older people market, because there is a lot of older people who haven't been playing video games that are buying a PlayStation just based on people showing it to them. So, yeah, which is something really new. It's a new phenomenon.
I guess you kind of have to do, you know, for marketing purposes to put those experiences out there for the crowd that can actually afford the PSVR. But I hope it dies. I hope that this isn't kind of a thing. I don't know how many novels or books you've read that have like virtual reality kind of things to them. The book was it? Now I'm losing. Oh, the Fahrenheit 451 did have a little bit of like a virtual reality thing on it. Their thing was the walls, like your entire TV, your entire wall was like a TV, and then you had like, if you were rich, you had 2 of them. If you were super rich, you had 3 or 4 of them. But they had that kind of thing where it was an experience. You read lines from a play. So instead of just watching a soap opera, you were a character in the soap opera. I wouldn't mind experiences like that to where you interacted. But games like Space Rift, like your character is reading his own lines and the other character is reading their lines, and you just feel separated from it.
Yeah, and also what makes me feel separated is when I'm in a game where I'm supposed to have a body and I don't have a body, but they need to iron out some of those problems with some of the games that do have a body and it doesn't really work. Yeah, like Here They Lie. That game needed move support for me. Like if we just had a move controller with a control stick on it, we would have been fine. So we don't have that right now. Something I want to talk about that happened kind of right before we started recording is my PlayStation 4 started downloading a patch for rigs, patch 1.05, and it includes 2 new features. A quick match setting. So this setting is a must-requested feature by the rigs community. It will be added in this patch. Totally. Quick match will replace the individual division game options, and it will allow you to jump into a game of end zone, team deathmatch, or team takedown, or power slam. After finishing a match, the game will rotate. So it's a continual thing where it's rotating games. And so basically you can't choose anymore. You can't choose if you want end zone, team takedown, or power slam. And they're putting that all into one, so it's going to consolidate the player base and make matchmaking much smoother and faster to go through. So you're not going to have to see all those load times when you're going through the matches.
That's nice.
It's much requested. Yes, very, very nice.
Yeah, the load times are bad.
Yeah, it's just because they had to keep loading different matches. So hopefully, I haven't tried it yet because it just went through. So hopefully, what I'm hoping, and I'll comment on in the next episode, is that as soon as a match is done, you're in the plane, and then out of the plane, you go straight up, and you're in another. Wait, isn't that how it was before? So maybe you don't go to the plane until you're done. I don't know where the plane comes in. Where does the plane come in?
I don't know.
Well, I have no idea.
The plane was an interesting thing for that game to have, just like a regular old plane you're sitting. It's nice, I get it, but it is always like, I was just like leaning forward and looking out the wing.
Did you ever put your head out the window?
No, can you?
Through the glass? Yeah, it's actually adds to immersion, because if you put your head through the glass, you could hear even if you just put one ear, you could hear the whooshing of the
Oh, wow,
the air.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah, it's really cool. You should try that. And then the next part of the update in this patch is something that it's really funny, actually. They added tutorial checkpoints. So tutorial will now have checkpoints. So you could pick up where you left off and jump right back into your game. I think they added this because of because people were starting up the game, they bought the game, they started it up, went through half of it's a really long tutorial, went through half of the tutorial and then stopped it and never played it again. And they noticed people trying to start it up again, but they were getting to the same point and getting out. So that's probably fixing an internal issue of people not continually playing their game because they put in an unskippable tutorial into their game. Yeah. So you can't get to the full thing.
I really think, the next iteration of rigs is really going to be where it's at. But it's good that they're starting to iron things out now and starting to, answer the community and understand that the multiplayer needs to be more functional. Eagle Flight has some problems with the multiplayer community too. And then I'll go
It does.
Yeah, I'll go on Reddit and complain and like, "Oh, go join the Eagle Flight subreddit," and where we talk about meeting up, and it's like, I don't want to have to meet up at a special time with special people and do all of that kind of, thing just to play some multiplayer matches. I want to jump in. I want to, maybe take like 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes and then, start a game up. But with Eagle Flight, you end up like you're just on your little Eagle Flight post thing and you're waiting, and then you'll see another eagle on the other side. So there's red team versus blue team, and then once there's one player on each side, then a timer counts down. And if the one eagle switches teams before the timer counts down, then it'll like reset the timer, and then that's the way to build it up. So if you start off with a 1 versus 1, then you're playing 1 versus 1. But if you fly over to your side, then the next person to joins on the other side, and then there's all this like nonsense of people going back and forth until finally you got like a 3 versus 3 team. But you like have to physically like make that happen, and then you play around, and then you get right back into the that menu, and it's nuts. And they have like one game mode for multiplayer, and that's catch the prey. There's like a dead deer or a dead rabbit or whatever. You pick it up and you have to fly it and drop it in your nest, and the other ones are trying to stop you from doing that. It's and I don't know, the multiplayer games. It's totally frustrating that World War Toons has the best multiplayer community right now.
Yeah. Well, it's free, so hopefully there's a lot of people. I've tried it the first day and it didn't really work, but now I'm gonna try it later and see how it works. It was weird because when I tried it, I was just flung into a match with a whole bunch of bots, and that was it. And they weren't even doing anything; they were just standing there. Like maybe I didn't do what I was supposed to do.
They patched it recently, and it actually looks better and plays better on the Pro. So I'm giving it more and more of a shot, because I really want that multiplayer experience. I want Overwatch in VR, and that's not going to happen. I'm just looking for anything as a surrogate.
Yeah. So with Eagle Flight, I personally, when I heard that you can't turn off the blinders they put on you, the peripheral motion. What do they call it? Some names call it that. Peripheral blockers. Is that as annoying as it would be to me?
No, it's not bad at all. The times when it comes up is when you're taking a big turn. Then
only big turns.
Yeah, little turns don't seem to do it much. Big turns, it's a lot more noticeable. It also happens when you're getting close to a collision. Like if you're flying in between things or through tunnels and stuff like that. Like if you're up in the air, way high up, you have full view, no big deal. But once you get into the buildings, then it tightens up a little bit, and it's not bad. The tunnel vision part of it isn't that distracting, but it would be nice to be able to turn it off. But I don't think it detracts away from the fun of the game. With the Eagle Flight, I've gone through the entire story mode. First you're hatched and you see your parents, and your parents are there pecking at you, and then your brother or sister's born. It's really interesting how they keep like gender roles out of the game entirely. Like you don't know if you're a boy bird or a girl bird. Like I asked my daughter after she played like 20 minutes of it last night, said, "Do you think you're a boy or a girl?" And she's like, "Well, I'm a girl." That's kind of like what her assumption was from the game, and the game went like later in there never has any kind of gender stuff. It's interesting, but I played through the entire story mode of it, and the story mode was short, but it was good. It did what it needed to do. It's like basically unlock all of the places and now do all of these super insane challenges, which they are. That game is like super difficult, but it's fun.
Really? Mm-hmm. So I'm one click of the cross button away from buying it right now. So you're about to convince me to buy it. But one more thing. Does it have a platinum?
Yes.
Okay, I'm buying it. I gotta buy it. I'm gonna platinum this game today.
Platinum's gonna be tough, man. Some of those star challenges are just absolutely brutal. Because, like, most of the game is, fly through the rings, and then the expert challenges are like subway kind of things to where there's multiple branches you can go off. But when you fly through the rings, you have to fly dead center through the ring to get the speed boost part of it. And the only way to like 3-star most of these things is to hit like at least half the dead center rings, and some of it's just brutal. One of the Reddit people are saying, this game should come with a neck casket, because it will test your neck. That's like my pro tip here is when that game's in the loading screen at the beginning, use that time to stretch. Like, rotate your neck around left and right and find out what's going on. If you have any pain in your neck to start off the game with, you're going to hurt yourself more. Because this game requires you to, like, tilt your head to the left and to the right. Like, you don't turn your head left and right. You lean your head left and right. And the game will nag at you if you try and do, like, turn controls. But, no, it's the gameplay on it's solid. The multiplayer leaves a little bit to be lacked. The story is short, but, I mean, how much are you going to do? You're a freaking bald eagle, you know. You're a bald eagle, go mess up the vultures and the bats and the falcons, and it's cool. It's a post-apocalyptic France, but it's not like dark and gritty. There's a bunch of zebras and giraffes and everything else to go see. It's fun. I really enjoy it.
Go ahead. Were you going to say something else?
That's about it. That's my review. I would say of all of the VR games I've played as a dedicated VR game, this one's my favorite, even over Riggs, just because because it's such a huge explorable world. Riggs, you have your your tournaments and stuff like that, and it's good. But Eagle Flight, just for a game that would only work in VR, I love it. It's great.
Really? Well, you're probably not a big fan of competitive shooters.
I am, though. I'm a huge Overwatch fan.
Oh, that's right. Overwatch. Yeah, that's right. Man, yeah. I mean, I just sunk in so much time into Riggs, in the multiplayer. So, and platinum that game, and on for my impressions of games. Robinson.
Yes.
So Robinson, I've platinumed it. I platinumed it yesterday,
nice.
And it took me about 10 hours, mainly because it's so new and it's a VR game. There's no trophy guide, so I had to go out and find it all myself. I'm thinking of putting together some sort of guide. Actually, yeah, I'm going to be putting up a guide on PlayStation VR Live. Nice. That game desperately needs a trophy guide and roadmap. All right, so I'm going to be putting that up. And then I also got $15 from Sony yesterday. Nice. For spending over $100, and I got Batman, and that game, I'm not a Batman fan, and I might be a Batman fan now, at least for in VR. I like it a lot. It scared me, and I didn't expect it to scare me, and I like how scared I was. It was a very real scare. I was scared in the sense that I felt like my life was threatened, which was something that other games have not done currently. So Batman's really, really fun. I don't know why people are putting non-gamers into this game as their first VR game. I wouldn't suggest that. It's very gamey, but I like it. It's fun. Beat the main part of that. No platinum though, so I don't know how much I'm going to be playing that game. I also want to mention Super Hypercube and the inflated price of it. So
$30, right?
That game is $30. I would say that game's worth $10, $15
totally.
max. I like it, and but it's not worth the price that I paid for it. But it is their first entry into VR, and it probably they had to learn a whole bunch of stuff. So when a developer has to start making a VR game from not making VR games, there's a huge overhead of getting these developers and coders to understand how to make stuff in VR work.
Right.
And I understand if it's the developer's first time making a VR game, maybe their first VR game is going to be more costly than the subsequent games, hopefully. We just can't, as consumers, we can't let them get too comfortable with this. So if you notice the same developer is doing the same thing, so let's say if there's a Tetris VR by Super Hypercube's developers, and it's priced accordingly, then I wouldn't buy it. But if it's their first game, then you should probably give them a little slack on their price there. And Headmaster, this game is funny. Buy this game. If you like Portal, buy this game. But it is a workout. I was trying to platinum Headmaster, and I was sweating really profusely. This game is a big workout. So if you would go to the gym, don't go to the gym. Just put on Headmaster and try to get all the stars on that game. And I'm glad it has a platinum though. I'm excited to try to chip away at that one over the years. But yeah, I also got a charging station, the standard one. I think it's called Power A charging station, licensed by Sony. The one that you can find at GameStop and Walmart. It's $50, and it was working pretty well up until yesterday. It has this droop problem when you put your headset on it. It didn't have it earlier because I think that I just have to clean my forehead thing. I think it's the grease from my forehead that is on there. So I'll have to clean it and see. Right now I have some cellophane wrap on the thing that holds the forehead thing so it doesn't slip off. But I don't know why they just didn't put a little lip under it that holds it. It doesn't hold it. It just droops down after like a week of having it. So I see a lot of people on Reddit putting like those non-stick pads that you put in drawers so your stuff doesn't slide around in drawers. People are putting that on there, and if I can't just fix it by cleaning the thing, I'll have to get one of those and put it on there. But that's the only design flaw of it. Other than that, it keeps everything nice and cozy. It's all the best thing I like about it is that I put on the headset and I'm sitting down and I'm like, oh crap, I need move controllers. I get up and the two move controllers come out of there just seamlessly because they're using the metal contacts on the bottom of the move controllers. They're not using the USB Mini, which is old, outdated technology that I don't want to use anymore. So yeah, it uses the metal contacts to charge, which is awesome. I like how it holds one DualShock 4 controller. So it's really simplified my life. I like that product a lot.
Oh, good.
Is there anything else you want to talk about, Dan?
No, with my setup, when I set up PlayStation 4, like it's got its own dedicated table in the office now. It's not even hooked up to like a regular TV anymore, which is kind of sad because I have a PlayStation 4 Pro, which is a 4K gaming machine, and I'm likely never going to play a 4K game on it. I don't know. TVs are starting to come down in price. We are at Target, and their 4K TVs are like $400, and it's like, that's what the price of a 1080 is. Like the 1080 is only like $50, $100 less. So I'm predicting that eventually we're going to be seeing, like, if you go to thrift stores, Goodwills and stuff like that, they're going to be absolutely full of these, 720 and 1080p TVs. But no, I just have like a dedicated table. I don't want to spend the $50 just on a headset thing. I almost got like a styrofoam head when I was at the craft store to put on there, and I was like, I'll just set it on the table and cover it all with a towel when I'm not using it. But that's we talked about sales, we talked about rigs, we talked about the things coming out, all of our games. Super Hypercube, I thought that was Phil Fish. Phil Fish is the guy who made what was it? Now I can't think of Fez. Like the indie developer that came up with Fez, and they had a good indie developer documentary on Steam. I think it was either on Netflix or Amazon or something that I watched. Phil Fish, he's a character, but $30 for that game is too much. Most of these games are like severely overpriced, and I'm honestly waiting for a couple months when all of these launch titles are super cheap, because they're gonna have to drop them down to 75% off to continue selling them. So that's kind of why I'm holding off. That's why I'm holding off on like the Batmans and the PS Worlds and everything like that, because I know they're going to be bargain bin titles soon, and I'm trying to get the higher quality stuff. Just juice.
Now, Worlds I've gotten quite a bit of enjoyment just showing people Worlds. That game is not much if you're just buying it for yourself, but if you make a habit of taking your PSVR to places to show people, which is cumbersome, but if you make a habit of bringing people over into your home to try it, Worlds is worth the price it is now just for sheer enjoyment of watching other people's play.
Yeah.
That's where I've gotten my value from it, is just showing it to masses of people.
Yeah, everybody says the Heist is the way to go. The Heist is like a really impressive game.
But when you're showing PSVR to people, you have to make sure you gauge the person you're showing it to. If it's an old grandma lady, your grandma, you don't want to show them the Heist first. Maybe after you get them accustomed with the Ocean Descent. Everybody loves the Ocean Descent, no matter the age or anything. So, yeah. So there's some previews you wanted to talk about, Danthol.
Yeah, the two games that I'm looking forward to, both of them Ubisoft games. Ubisoft seems to be doing really good in the VR world. Eagle Flight, Trackmania, and now the two games coming out, Werewolves Within and the Star Trek Bridge Crew. Bridge Crew was recently delayed. It was supposed to be out a lot sooner, but now it's like March, and I think Werewolves Within is, I have to take a look at the date, but both of those look interesting, more so the Werewolves, because Werewolves is going to be the first game that's going to be like the true social experience. You know, it's going to be a social game. Basically, you're sitting around a campfire or some version of something like that, and everybody has to figure out who in the group is the werewolf. And there's certain things you do. It's kind of like a board gamey kind of thing, and things to read. And so through the questioning, you have to find out who the werewolf is, and then if you guess, you win. Or if you're the werewolf and you make somebody guess incorrectly, then you win. I got to look more into it, but from what I've seen, it looks super interesting. There's like parts where you can stand up and you can have a monologue, and nobody else can talk while you're doing your monologue part. So you kind of get the control of it. People were one guy was saying during the beta, he would just stand up and look at people disapprovingly, just like turn his head and look at people and not say anything, and then do his sit down after his monologue. So it looks like it has the potential to be a really fun experience socially. And I'm sure they'll have rooms that are just rooms to chat and not necessarily do the werewolf game part of it so much. But there's that, and then the Bridge Crew, which will also be a social experience. But you're going to be fulfilling one of four roles on the bridge of the Enterprise. You'll be like the I guess somebody's going to run the weapons, somebody's going to control the ship, and then somebody else does strategy, and somebody else does comms. So you get in, you pick your role, or it picks the role for you, and then you have a number of other like Star Trek scenarios that you have to go through. So like you're playing through an episode of the television show. That looks like it's going to be really cool as an experience. Yeah,
I know you're a big fan of Star Trek, right?
Yes.
You had a podcast about it and everything. So you're a huge Star Trek fan. I don't know anything about it. I've always been a Doctor Who fan myself. So if hopefully I could get like a TARDIS Doctor Who thing, that would be awesome. But all the Doctor Who games that have came out have been utter disappointments to me. So I would like to be a Star Trek fan. I just love nerdery in general, but that's something I can never get into. So hopefully that could get me into it. The Batman got me into Batman. I actually downloaded some of the Batman games on my PS3 to try out. So do you think the Star Trek Bridge Crew would be something that could get people into Star Trek, or do you think it's going to be something that you would need to know a lot of stuff about? Because I don't even know what the Enterprise is.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I don't know anything about it at all.
It's a total generation gap. You didn't necessarily have that start. The next generation was a big deal, in my youth, in my 20s and 30s, when next generation was huge. I don't think it's going to necessarily bring people into Star Trek more so than it's going to bring the Star Trek fans to a new medium. When a Star Trek fan sees that, you'll have your friends over, I think, more than It's not going to be. I don't think it's going to be like a couch multiplayer. It's just going to be an online multiplayer. So I guess the friends thing is out of it. But if you have somebody over and you're letting them experience that might be fun. I don't know. It could be really good. It could be really bad. It's something that's not going to be a game. It's going to be more of an experience, just like the Werewolves Within will be more of an experience than a game. But those two things are VR things that I'm looking forward to. Beyond that, I think I might actually pick up Final Fantasy 15. Not just for the VR experience, it's just because I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. I have a Final Fantasy tattoo.
Oh, you are?
Oh, yeah. I've got like the fighter from Final Fantasy 1 tattooed on my arm. I played I was like hardcore. I started playing Final Fantasy in like 1991 when it first really came out here in America. So I've been...
Yeah, my favorite Final Fantasy is 10. I love 10. 10 is my jam. I've tried to platinum that on the Vita, and it's just so hard. Oh my gosh, I wish I could platinum that game, but it's so much time. You have to sink into it. But there's one thing I want to talk about it. This is a flat game corner, I guess. So I bought my first flat game since I got a PSVR. And it's just because I'm a trophy hunter. That's the only reason why. And it's called My Name Is Mayo. I want to talk about this game. Is that all right?
That's fine.
Danthol? Okay, My Name Is Mayo. This game is kind of disgusting. It's a 99-cent game, and the only purpose of it I've seen is to get a platinum. It's a 99-cent game that has a platinum somehow. I don't know. There's games that should have platinums that don't have them. But all you do is press the X button to have your finger tap this mayo jar. And you do it 10,000 times and you get the platinum. And it's cross-buy. So you buy 99 cents and you get the platinum on the PS4. And then you could go on your Vita and then tap the jar of mayo again and get the platinum on your Vita. So
that's
it
disgusting.
took me 1 hour to do each. Yeah, it's disgusting that Sony's letting them do this. There's no type of quality control on the flat game space anymore. And I just hope that quality control, they're focusing all the quality control on the VR space right now. This is how I'm tying into VR, because I have noticed that there is better quality, at least on most of the VR catalog, even though if they are short.
You haven't played Space Rift yet.
Yeah, well, there is no... Oh, and the Weeping Doll. There's a couple of those things, right? Yeah, so... But there's not this kind of disgusting pay $1 to do nothing and just get a platinum. But hey, it got me, and people know that if you put a platinum in your game, people are going to buy it just for that. I don't know how big that market is, but it has me.
So now they have what? I am bread, I am mayo. They're gonna I am lettuce, I am bacon.
Well, I think they're from different people, but I Am Bread's actually really... That game's pretty fun. It's frustrating as hell, but it's more than nothing. There's no gameplay in I Am Mayo, not at all, but I Am Bread has actual gameplay. It's kind of reminiscent of Surgeon Simulator.
Oh, God.
So,
all of those, the Surgeon Simulator, Goat Simulator, those I don't get. At least with cat lateral damage, there's a little bit of something going on. There's a kind of Katamari Damacy thing happening there, but
actually, cat lateral damage has less gameplay than Goat Simulator.
Really?
Goat Simulator is highly renowned as a glitch fest. It's really fun. I like it. People love that game. Just showing it to people, they laugh their face off, I guess. Yeah.
So when are you going to be getting a Pro? Well, that's the next thing, because there's some things I wanted to talk about, particularly the placebo effect of games looking better when they don't actually look better on the Pro. That's one of the things that's been floating around there.
Within a couple months.
Okay.
Yeah, within a couple months. I have to pay off my credit card.
Understand.
I'm halfway done with paying that off, which is surprising. Yeah.
Okay.
So
that was the last thing I think I really wanted to talk about is there was some threads going on there about pro games and what the enhancements are. And people are angry. People are like, "Oh, it's so much better. It's great." And it's like, "Well, stop. Shut up. Just trying to justify your $400 purchase is not really a big deal." And that'll be an interesting thing going forward. Is what the developers do for the Pro enhancements. They're having problems just getting it connected to 4K TVs, let alone the VR enhancements. But I don't know, some of the games I don't know if they're better with a VR with a Pro or not. I'm hoping.
Have you been able to test them side by side?
See, that's the problem. Is I'm gonna have to do this whole nonsense. I guess I can just bring the old PlayStation 4 in here and just swap them out, plug them in, and do that.
How easy is it to swap? That's the question.
There's a bunch of stuff to unplug.
Are you sure it's just not a couple cords? Because I know some of the cords, I think maybe the USB might be for no.
Yeah, see,
there might be a couple cords you could keep in your PS4 Pro.
I would have to
just switch a couple
unplug
of
the
them.
Camera, unplug the HDMI, swap out the
you don't have two cameras.
No.
Oh, okay. See, if I get the Pro, I could actually do this test because I have two cameras.
Oh, okay.
And I have two PSVRs, so if I wanted to open up that one, I could do that too. But I want to sell that one. I really need to sell it. But yeah, but it would actually be interesting to do side by side. Actually, one of my friends is going to be getting a PSVR.
Nice.
Hopefully within the next 5 months or something. And then if he brings over his, then we could actually do a side by side comparison.
Yeah.
And yeah, because that's the thing. That's what's causing the placebo. A lot of these people are trading in their old PS4s to get the new one, and then that's what creates a major placebo when you can't just switch it directly.
Yeah, and why would you want to in the first place? Why would that's the thing is like, sure, I can do it for science, but that's there's better ways I can be spending my time. I can actually be trying to do an expert challenge, in Eagle Flight instead of messing around, so I can see like this, like, ooh, look, the loading time is 24% better. Why do I really care? But either way, the Pro is really nice. I like having a dedicated VR system now. I really enjoy having what is essentially the most cutting edge virtual reality gaming system out there. I know like the Rift and the Vive are like precede it, and they may have better things, but we're talking 2.5 million sales projected by end of year by some of these groups out there. I don't know how reliable they are. What was the superdataresearch.com is where we're getting a lot of this stuff. And their business model is like, pay us $1,500 for super detailed breakdowns of these numbers, and who knows where they're getting those from. But if you get an install base 2.5, I think you're going to wake some developers up and get some quality stuff out there. And I need more social experiences. I need more solid multiplayer online stuff other than World War Toons. It's just that World War Toons, it gets better the more you play it, but it just sucks that you have to get a feel for it and understand what's going on. And there is that mixture of people who know what they're doing and people who are clearly still using the teleport controls, or not the teleport controls, where you just use the trigger buttons to turn 15 degrees to the right or left, and you can see him turning 15 degrees right or left and trying to find you and then shoot you. It's annoying.
Yeah, but they give you the options in that at least, right?
Yeah, but just playing against other people, you have this weird kind of mix of somebody who really knows how to play the game and they're kicking ass, and then people who have absolutely no clue. VR's in its infancy, especially multiplayer competitive stuff in VR. But this podcast will be around long enough to where we get those good, solid experiences. I'm looking forward to that.
All right, and maybe since we're open today, maybe we could play some games later, because I just bought the Eagle Flight, so maybe you could show me the ropes in that game later on today. Yeah.
Thank you very much for listening to episode number 2 of the PSVRLIFE podcast. You can see our webpage at psvrlife.com. We're on Twitter at PSVRLIFE, Facebook /groups/PSVRLIFE. Music was courtesy of Broken Souls Records. The song was Feeling High by Amiga Breaks. If you'd like to contact us, you can go to the contact page on psvrlife.com. There's my email address and our voicemail number. The voicemail number is 540-404-1376. If you call and leave a voicemail, we'll read it on the show and comment. Until next week,
put on your headset and get a life.
I'm only 25 years old, with dead in my life. Oh no, that's not right. It's my own doing, but that's not all I have. An old man, my dad, suffers from different conditions that I have to take care of. But thanks to you on the Reddit, thanks to Sony. Subreddit, thank you from the bottom of my heart, and Sony, thank you for letting me escape my problems temporarily and creating multiple universes that I can explore, that I'd never be able to visit in my own real life. This subreddit is the best, don't give a shit what anyone says. If this kind community was the total population of America, this world would be a nicer, kinder place. Thank you. Get away from all the bullshit, get away from all the hatred, get away from all the shit that we have to endure. Everything will get better, but for now, escape. I know I'm not the only one, you are not alone. Just take this song with a grain of salt. I know I'm not a singer or a good music creator, I'm just speaking my heart. Seriously guys, thank you very much for creating such an amazing, kind community that I come on the boards every single day. I don't post stuff that often, sometimes I do, but it really helps me. So thank you for being so kind, thank you for this amazing community, appreciate it. Get away